I want to talk about books. I wrote my first book in 1993 and it became a bestseller. It was just for the South African market. And I have a copy of it here. It was long and narrow, designed for cubby holes. But this video is not about me. It's not about my books. Well, it is a bit. Not long ago, I was in this kind of central Western Australia, and I decided to do a vlog on books, and the flies were really bad, but I recorded it anyway. I'd like to review two books by Chris Scott. Here they are here, Overlander's Handbook. It is now thinner than the previous version. The previous version was a hardcover. This new one is a soft cover, which is actually more convenient in a vehicle, and his Morocco Overland book. And I must say Chris is doing a brilliant job. And it's about what I regard as the world's best overlanding book. And it's not one of mine. During my lifetime, my four-wheel drive books, my very, very first one was a book by Jack Jackson. And I loved that book. He was very, very into Land Rovers, and I got so much inspiration for it. He had lovely pictures of his vehicles in Afghanistan and Pakistan and all these amazing places in the Sahara and that kind of things, and driving mostly Series 3 Land Rovers, Series 2 and 3 Land Rovers. And his later book wasn't quite as good. I didn't think it was more of a picture book, but anyway, good stuff. Jack Jackson is the author's name. I bought a book by Nigel Fryatt, who was really all about four-wheel driving but not about overlanding, so it was a bit disappointing. And this was before I started writing my books in 1993. When I was in England, 2013-14, I was thinking about getting a vehicle for use in Europe because I didn't know I was going to come to Australia. And that was the book I got my hands on. The previous edition to this. Chris's books are today, I think, the most comprehensive and easy to read overland guides around. He doesn't just talk about small vehicles. He talks about car, four-wheel drive, van, truck. So he talks about large vehicles, smaller vehicles, very small vehicles, and even people that use ordinary motor vehicles to travel overland, and many people do very successfully. You don't need a heavy four-wheel drive, but you do need a good saloon car. Not all saloon cars are suitable, but he goes in through a lot of detail in building the vehicles, equipping the vehicles, driving in different countries and the problems with driving in different countries. He goes through this one particular one, Asia, Africa, Latin America. Now, of course, I am starting to get through the Latin America part of it because I'm about to do a major trip in Latin America. So thank you, Chris, for sending me this. But I did think that I should give a little review on it. It's really good. Absolutely fantastic. Now about me. I am writing fewer and fewer technical guidebooks on four-wheel drive. I've written 15 of them. It is no longer the last edition. Didn't look like this, but this was my favorite edition of that book. It was hardcover, had just a gorgeous cover, it had the world's most beautiful front cover and the world's worst cover design in the history of publishing. It was terrible design at the back. Anyway, that is my favorite book that I ever wrote. But I am now writing more I'm involved in story books and anecdotal books and books about my adventures as opposed to technical four-wheel drive books. I should add though that this was published in, I think this particular one was 11 editions, I think, but it was sold uninterrupted in South Africa for 24 years, and only last year, 2017, did it actually finally go out of production, out of print. It can still be purchased from Amazon in digital form, and in fact you can order it in book form too, in hard copy form too, not unlike this book. This was the first book that I wrote, and I wrote it with Gwyn, and it's a memoir of a year spent in wild Africa. And it actually won a literary award in 2016. And again, this is obviously the hardcover version of it, but it is available in soft cover like this from Amazon, as well as digital. Okay. Now, I should also mention Tom Shepherd. Tom Shepherd has been writing wonderful, wonderful four-wheel drive technical guidebooks for many, many years. And this is, I have a copy of his book. And this is beautiful, beautiful. Does it bend towards Land Rover because he was sponsored by Land Rover? Yes, but it doesn't make any difference. He's not a brand fanboy. Tom Shepherd is not a brand fanboy. So you don't have to worry about that just because he was backed by Land Rover on many of his projects. He's not at all. Now, the reason for this video is actually that I've just released a new book. Now, those of you who know my shows well will remember I was in Canning Stock Route, and I came up with an idea of doing a picture book. Because Canning was, we had found such beautiful, I mean, unforgettable camp spots, you know, those magic moments in overlanding, that I thought, wouldn't it be great if I put together a collection? Because I have something like, I must actually count, it's probably close to 100,000, it might be a bit more, photos in my collection, still photographs in my collection of all my overland travels. And I thought, well, wouldn't it be great to take those images, my favorite images of beautiful campsites, and tell an anecdotal story about them, where the campsite was, and actually put in a GPS coordinate, if possible, of that particular campsite. Many I didn't record. In the early days, I didn't record GPS. So that was the idea. And I started putting it together. And I was about to release it, and I thought, you know, I'm missing something here. Because it's not just about photographs. It's not just about, you know, I would start writing the description of the photograph, and it wasn't enough. It didn't satisfy me in saying, well, why was I there in the first place? It wasn't just a campsite next to a river that was wonderful because of X, Y, and Z. Why were we there? What happened? Now, many of those stories are part of my channel. Those of you who know the channel or know 4X Overland and have watched the TV shows. But many of them, those places have a much, much deeper meaning for me. So I started writing. I started writing the meanings, and you'll actually find in the book many of the stories from story time, because they're real life stories, the things that actually happened. And then, so what I'll do is I'll take a picture and look at it and say, hey, this will go nicely in the book. Oh, there's a nice story behind that. And I would write the story. So the book has just been released on Amazon for sale. At the moment, it is just in digital form. It may become available in hard copy form. I don't know. We have to price it. It's got a lot of photographs in it. It's very photo rich. So it doesn't take away from those magic images and those magic places. But what it does is each one has a story. So that book now is available on Amazon. The link is below. Patreons, you've already seen it, you've already looked at it, and it's your opportunity now, please, Patreons, if you wouldn't mind going in and reviewing it on Amazon for me. And I'm actually going to send you a link with this link to this video of where you can review it. I took over a year to write this book because as I was doing it, I couldn't decide what the book was. And I finally decided about 6 months ago. It's not a picture book, although pictures are a big part of it. It is, in fact, a sequel to that. It's the second in the series of the Torn Trousers series. The third one is being written now. Gunn and I went to Africa last month, July, not last month, and we spent hours at the campsite talking about our new book, it's going to be then the third. Final, I was going to say, and third and final. Actually, maybe not. I'm not going to foretell the future. The third in the Torn Trousers book season. And that's all I have to say about that. Enjoy the books, and thanks for watching.